back. This is WUB, Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes on a Thursday morning, the second day of October 2025. Our guest is the esteemed Ombudsman of Belize. He is retired Major Swazo, the Honorable Ombudsman of Belize. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Pleasure to be here at XTV.
We're glad that you're here, sir. And it's a
thank you
kind
for
of
having
a
me.
regular update. The latest annual report has been done, has just been released by the Office of the Ombudsman. We'll have a frame shot of this so that you could see it. I've gone across it and it is very comprehensive.
Thank you.
It has dealt with some very important areas, and it's even more in-depth than your last report of 2023. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just pull up some of those areas that I found interesting. One of them is you spoke about mental health. And you know, in fact, when you were here the last time, we spoke about mental health probably as a problem in the society in general. But it appears that your report focuses on the need for mandatory mental health training in the public service. And you're highlighting the fact that there are a number of public officers that are being affected by mental health, but they are within a system, meaning the government system, that doesn't acknowledge that they got a problem or that the government is responsible for addressing that problem. So I found that extremely troubling that we would be having people with psychological issues, you know, and we don't recognize, as you've highlighted here, that that's a danger to our national security.
Yes, it is in fact an issue, but more so because of perhaps how it is dealt with, or not dealt with in an adequate manner. But what is interesting is that currently we do know that there are certainly players within the Ministry of Health and Wellness that are taking a closer look at drafting legislation, which certainly will come to bear with a view now to arrest these kinds of challenges within the public sector.
Okay, well, going beyond the public sector, and it's good that you highlighted that because you're talking about public officers,
Yes.
and security people, etc. But what about this problem that we're seeing in the society itself? And you only allude to that in your report, that we really don't have enough services to address people walking through the streets and people expressing different issues.
Yeah, well, what is I think important is that some people with mental health issues are not necessarily normal people, and you cannot expect that they will report sick as normal. Within, like, the military, once you are ill, you are expected that the same day you report ill, you are expected to take a medical certificate to high command or to your human resource individual for accountability. That is in the normal course of things. Now, if it is that there is someone who have a mental challenge, that person may not necessarily be able to report as required by the system, right? Which I think it is stating that on the first day you are ill, then you can report without a medical certificate. But on the second day, you have to have a medical certificate. Now, that is the normal course of things. If it is that you are mentally challenged or disturbed, then you cannot be expected to report in the same like manner of someone who is
normal.
not mentally ill.
Clearly.
All right?
Yes.
So I think therein needs to be the issue where we have to be aware that this is not a normal situation, so they have to have some leeway in the way how dealing with these kinds of situations. So I think we need to become a lot more aware and a lot more sensitive about mental health issues.
Another one of the areas that you highlighted, and as I said, I have to move through them because I want to give the audience an opportunity to call in. So I will move through these notes here kind of fast. Another area that you highlighted was the Freedom of Information Act. We know that recently Jerry Enriquez had made a request of the Attorney General to see the cost of the case that was brought to defend the government in the case that was brought by Jerry and his group.
Yes.
And there was an outright refusal that in a nice legal way, they said no.
Yes.
You know, it was fancy words, but it still was no.
Yes.
And I found it, as others found that strange, because the whole idea of the Freedom of Information Act is that every citizen, unless it's a security issue, every citizen has a right to get the information that they requested.
As long as it's not an exempt document.
Yes, well, and I would imagine those would be security issues,
By and large, yes.
highlighting, etc. What Mr. Sylvester used here was a kind of, well, we can't tell you for them people's secret because, you know, we don't want to tell you how much money them people get, which to me just did not make sense when it comes to the Freedom of Information Act. So I'm asking you that ministries seem to dodge this request, and if government is doing such a thing, aren't they undermining this idea of transparency that we continue to say we want to reach this level where we are open government? When you are refusing an FOI, you are in fact blocking free flow of information that the public has the right to know.
Well, you're undermining transparency and accountability. Well, the case with Mr. Enriquez is still ongoing. You may recall, have filed to the Office of the Ombudsman to review that specific case.
So he has asked the Ombudsman.
Yes.
So he's asked you to look into this.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. So that is an ongoing case, so I won't be able to comment much on specific on that.
Of course.
On that case.
Yeah.
However, as it relates to Freedom of Information Act, any individual, any member of the public are authorized by Chapter 13, the Freedom of Information Act law, to make a request to any government information department for any document that is not exempt. If it is exempt, then the ministry or the department obviously will not be able to give you as long as it is within the confines of those exempt documents. And there's a list of what is considered to be exempt documents.
Of course.
So they're obliged to provide in the name of transparency, because you're doing business for on our behalf of as the general public.
Right.
So you need to be able to demonstrate openness, transparency in any regard, because you are working for us, the general public.
Right.
If it is that, as I said, as long as those documents are not exempt, then you need to be able to forward that information freely. In the event that there is the appearance that there may be some confidential issues, then the Ombudsman can intervene to read those documents and then perhaps certify that you will be authorized to redact certain things out of the document, but present the other information that is not exempt to the requester.
As far as you know, and well, maybe we shouldn't discuss it since you say it's still a live legal matter, but one has to ask, I would have thought that the exempted information would be highly security type information, or
to a large extent, yes. And cabinet issues.
Yeah, issues that would expose the government, embarrass the government, etc.
Yes, yes.
But just to tell us exactly how much you paid somebody, which is already in the treasury, there's so many trails for that. Anyway, let me drop that one. Let me drop that. The issue of pension, you also took up the mantle of those public officers, and we know quite recently with the battle of the 8.5% with government, part of that was also pensions for, but I'm learning from your report that there are still people who have retired months and even years.
Yes, that's correct.
And they are really deteriorating because they can't live on their savings, then they borrow loan and things, and all because government not pay them where he owe them.
Yes.
This I don't want to favor you to give me by pension. You're giving me what I suppose.
Well, it is unfortunate that we are still here, particularly because it is outright and a general knowledge that public sector retires at the age of 55.
Right.
And the policy is that once you attain the age of 54, 1 year prior to, it is the responsibility of the human resource person or the AO within the respective ministry or department to ensure that your file is now opened and ensure that everything that relates to leave, pay, and all that should be finalized so that at least at the minimum 3 months before you retire, your file should be at the government treasury. Okay. So that then they need at least 3 months with your document alone, so that then as soon as you attain the age of 55, you get their money the very same day to leave.
Was that ever implemented in that way, or has it always been a delay from ever since?
No, there are people who have in fact benefited once they do due diligence
immediately
properly.
after they retire?
Yes, there are people who have.
But is it because I, the retiree, looked out for myself, or is it because at one time the system was working properly and I never have to worry at 55?
It's both cases.
Oh, I see.
Right. Remember, and this is what I keep saying, that the greater responsibility lies with you who are the AO. While you are going about doing your daily task, working and serving, you have a responsibility as well for yourself to ensure that your file is proper. However, there is someone with a greater responsibility who is the AO or the human resource individual. That is that person is getting paid
so
to do that.
Where is the fall down? Is it in the individual AOs? Because this appears to be global. It appears to be the entire system and not just one particular AO.
Yes. Well, they are general failures that
straight across.
That
let me ask you this.
That leads to that. Remember that your file from whichever ministry, right, will have to come from your respective department to your ministry. Okay. Then from your ministry, then it goes to the public service. And from the public service, it goes to the Ministry of Finance, right?
Well, have you investigated to find out where exactly?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Is the block? Is it at the AO? Is it at the ministry?
In different location, right?
I see.
In different location, because certainly the Treasury Department will not be able to execute anything,
right,
if in fact the people have not done.
So the buck stops with the AO then?
Yes.
So is it all those AOs that are failing in their duty, or just?
Well, it is obvious to me that they are the ones who are in fact creating the challenges that
So would that be the Minister of Finance that would
remember? Let's if you're working in the Ministry of Health, for argument's sake.
Okay. Yeah.
Your file will have to then at some point eventually reach at the Ministries of Health,
right,
AO or CEO.
Yeah.
All right. Once your file is then complete with your department all the way to the ministry, then the ministry, let's say in this case, Ministry of Health, will then forward your file once they are completed it to public service. Right. Public service then do their due diligence, and once they are finished with it, then they forward it to the Ministry of Finance, and then eventually to Treasury for payout.
We'll give you the money, yeah.
Yes, right? So there are failures along the way, and if it is that there is one document that impact increment or pay or leave or those kinds of things, then your file have to go all the way back.
You get stuck again.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
Well, AO, in a case, I'm saying AO, I'm sorry, Ombudsman, in a case where it's obvious not the fault of the public officer. It's
Yes.
not his fault,
No.
not her fault. All right. So from what I'm hearing from you,
I
it's an
am saying that how
administrative-
the greater responsibility lies with somebody who is in fact responsible for the human resource of that individual.
All right, all right. What about in this world that we're living in, New Belize, everybody they get sued? Is the government culpable? Can they be penalized for delaying a person's right to get their pension at a certain age? Is there a lawsuit there? And in addition to that, if you delay my money, do I accrue some level of interest on my money when I do eventually get? I'm just asking.
Well, it appears that that isn't the case at this time
Yeah.
in any way or form.
Okay.
However, I mean, we are living in a litigious kind of society
Very much
these,
so.
these days. One would have to then perhaps test it in court.
All right. So there may be an attorney out there listening to you that says,
Perhaps it's a case that someone
Right.
would want to take up because, I mean, certainly the responsibility of government is to ensure that when you attain the age of 55 in the normal course of retirement, you should get your terminal benefits on the day you attain 55.
yeah. And
That is the intent.
failure,
That is the
failure to
intent.
do that is on the government itself.
Well, it is, yes.
Are there any cases outside in this jurisdiction or even beyond? 'Cause ombudsman is all over the world.
Yes.
Are there any examples where failure to live up to the responsibility of paying workers their pension, government workers, that there have been lawsuits?
I don't know at this time, but I can certainly research it and get back to you in
All
that
right,
regard.
good. Guest this morning is the Ombudsman of Belize, retired Major Swazo. The Honorable Ombudsman is discussing his annual report for 2024. And we're already in the midst of some very interesting observation that he. One of the other areas that you have talked about has to do with the professional branch of the police department. You had you were critical, constructively so, but can you highlight some of what your office found about the shortfall of this branch of the police department?
Well, the issue is that there are members of the police department who are charged with the responsibility to sort of investigate any alleged wrongdoing by police. Now, it's a very great idea. However, there are several people who does not put the kind of trust and confidence within the professional standards branch as it is. And rightly so, people are very skeptical in that regard. So we just sort of highlight what we believe are some areas that needs to be looked at by the police department with a view to sort of improve the image. So I think it's a good direction that we are heading.
Are people who go to the professional standard getting a satisfaction that their complaints are being addressed and they see the result of their complaints?
Yes, because remember, we do have several complaints against the police that comes to the office of the Ombudsman. So what is it that we've tried to do is to collaborate along with them as well, with a view then to have other people developing the kind of confidence in that department by itself. Right.
This branch of the police department, how robust is it? How many members? How
I
big?
am not certain how big it is, but we, in collaborating with them, we are seeing where we are getting resolution of several cases together.
You suggested that their location there on Raccoon Street is a little prohibited, and I drew from what you were saying that maybe another location would be a little bit more public friendly.
Yes, because I mean, if you're going into a police station to report about police, that in and by itself is intimidating. Yes,
Yeah.
right. So the recommendation is that look for some area which perhaps is not within the police station in and by itself, and maybe separate and apart, so that it gives people not that feeling of not being intimidated. Yeah. So that's
Because there's a natural fear, and people don't want to accept this, but there's a natural fear that the average of us now have in dealing with the police. And if we have to go into the Raccoon Street stadium, if you've been into the Raccoon Street stadium, you know, I don't know, that building, they make you...
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah.
therefore...
You give it an eerie feeling.
Yeah. So you're afraid already.
Yes.
And
yes.
so you're suggesting that they find another location that is a more friendly.
Yes.
All right, that's a very good point.
Yes.
Well, let's move to another area where you've been very, very, very critical, Major Swazo, and that is looking at the health care that is offered to inmates.
Yes.
You recommend that there be a dedicated medical fund for inmates, and you know, some people would criticize you and say, well, with our already scarce resources, why would we put such resources on prisoners when ordinary Belizeans still have a problem in meeting their medical costs?
Well, remember that even though you're a prisoner, you still have rights. And
But elaborate on that, because some people believe, and I go from talking to people and sometimes hearing people call here, some people believe that once you go to jail,
yes,
and I heard a young man this morning calling for Bukele, two young men calling for Bukele. The belief is that when you commit one crime, you the dog, you know, we have to worry about you. If you go to prison, that you put yourself back there. If you're dead back there, you're just dead back there. Who put you back there? No, we put you back there. You put yourself back there. You see the rationale?
no, I perfectly understand, but you do not lose your human rights. And the fact of the matter is that the state assumes responsibility for you when you're in the prison department. So you get sick, you work, you eat, you get sick. Now, there are several cases where we know that they are not given the care as they should. And why is that? Because what is happening now is that from the prison department and you go to, let's say, the Carl Hushtan Memorial Hospital, they want to be paid.
Up front.
Yes, up front.
Yeah.
All right? And that is what is creating the challenge, because at one point it was then that you can get the service, then pay after.
Or don't pay any at all.
Well, whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is now is that Carl Hushner is saying that if they don't get paid, then they don't get treated. And so we are finding now that where people are going to Carl Hushner, then that prisoner would have to find money from his or her own pocket to pay up front for their own medical attention, which ought not to be the case, because it is the responsibility of government to pay for the medical care of the prisoner.
So, Ombudsman, you're saying something very troubling here. Let's slow it down. You're really saying that if a person has a tertiary level illness, you know, they're not tiling all type of thing, no, it's no headache,
yes,
no nail joke.
Yes,
this is a serious tertiary level problem. This person, diabetes, hypertension, or other injuries.
That is correct.
If he goes to the hospital, whose responsibility is it that this man be taken care of? You are saying that based on human rights protocol, he should be treated just like he is.
That is correct.
A free citizen.
Yes.
Because the state is now responsible for him.
That's correct.
But man, the dead back there, people have died because they have not been able to get the care.
But then there was a case recently which made the prison department liable, correct?
Okay.
So
you're talking about the case of the man that got
recently
that got shot.
No. There was a case I don't remember the case where it was held that the prison was responsible
for the person that
for the person.
Yeah.
So I'm just stating that you have a right to get medical treatment, and that medical treatment is to be paid by the prison department or government for on behalf of the prison department.
But where is that? Is that written somewhere? Because then if it is written, then is it being violated then?
Well, hence the reason why we brought it up, right?
Okay.
And it is in the report to state that it's a violation, and it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Home Affairs to ensure that any prisoner who needs to get medical attention is taken care of.
So you also have highlighted here not only the issue of the medical, but you've also talked about the very operational procedure that takes place in the prison, and you've highlighted it in your annual report, that there are individuals who are isolated in a thing called the hole, which is an isolated segregation of inmates
A special holding cell.
who are supposedly giving trouble and problem.
Yes.
What was your finding of how that procedure is rolled out in the prison?
Well, we find that there are several things that appears to be working with not proper due process. There are also occasions when people are placed within that holding facility for extended period, when in fact, I think it is made that they should be there perhaps no more than 14 days. But we find that...
So is it 14 days in the law of which Colby must follow?
Yes.
Or is it in the prison law? Because apparently
it's in the Prison Act, and it's also within the Mandela rules.
All right.
Right?
Okay.
And those are two things that govern
But are
the
these
prison
legal
department.
rules? Are these,
Yes.
these are legal? If you fail to follow the Mandela rules in the prison,
Yes.
does that give the prisoner who has been mistreated or believes he's been mistreated, based on the Mandela rule, does he have a lawsuit?
Well, he have all rights to complain. He have all rights, if he can get legal representation, to do what he will to ensure that how the status is regularized.
But most of them in the prison are not, they can't even afford bail. So how would they be able to afford an attorney to be able to carry a case such as that?
Well,
Have to almost be pro bono.
Well, that would be up to the prisoner and the lawyer, whoever he consults. From our standpoint, any prisoner who believes that they have been abused have the right to complain to the Ombudsman. And once a complaint is lodged, we investigate, and then we try to regularize the issue as early as possible.
So what is that process now? If a person, an inmate, let's deal with one, believes that his rights are being violated, how does it get to the Ombudsman?
Well,
he must first report to the authorities.
Yes.
The authorities have the right to tell you or to not tell you.
Well, once a person lodges a complaint, let's say to the director of prison,
Okay.
that he give him a written report, and then that report is forwarded to the office of the Ombudsman.
Okay.
That's one way. Then the other is that, remember, they are also given privilege to use cell phone or calls or make calls.
All right.
And then, so when they contact our office stating that they have a complaint in this regard, then we document that, and then we visit to
determine the facts of the matter. I see.
Yes.
Okay. So in this case of going back again to the hole, if an inmate is put in the hole beyond 14 days, which you said is the rule, can he then call and say, I've been held there for 2 months?
Yes.
Okay, and he would have a case.
Yes, he would have a case. Yes.
And
we as I said, as is evident in the report, that we have then and we still continue to intervene or to investigate whenever we receive any such complaint. Now, what is unfortunate is that sometimes you still have to go and speak with the director to say, but I mean, we were here before, so why are we going back to do the same
So are
thing?
you saying that sometimes there's a reoccurrence of the same violation?
Yes.
Well, what happens then?
Well, we just have to continue to do what we need to do.
There's another section of just looking not at your position, but looking at the Ombudsman's position yes, sir. The Ombudsman position in some other jurisdiction, they have a little bit more teeth than your role. In other words, they are almost prosecutorial. They are able to take the matter further than just simply responding to, for example, the prison administration. If you're not, in other words, if you're not following through with my soft recommendation, then I can come back, because my role as the Ombudsman can, and as a judge really, can take this matter even further.
Yes, well, there are provisions in the law for any failure, which then can be prosecuted, yes.
But in this case of you're getting a report, addressing the report, and then 2 weeks later you find out it reoccurs. It may even recur more than one time, more than 2 times. Can you take it further than simply?
Yes, you can. Remember then that a special report can then be lodged at the National Assembly, and then the National Assembly can take further action.
I see. This is the Honorable Ombudsman of Belize. He is retired Major Swazo, and we'll open the phone lines now at 280-5848 if you want to direct any of your questions towards Mr. Swazo in his position as the Ombudsman. You also had some very strong criticism of the SOE, recognizing its importance as a tool, but cautioning the government and the police about its implementation. Can you elaborate, sir?
Okay. During the SOE of, I think it was June to September of 2024,
Yes.
we had over 30 people who were detained who complained to the Office of the Ombudsman. As a result of those complaints, we did a thorough investigation into how the SOE was implemented. And we found that there were several gaps in relation to the implementation. One of them being that it appears as if in the implementation, no other ministry except perhaps the police department and the prison department, or the two who are mainly involved. Now, what is the objective? Is it to rehabilitate? Or what is the ultimate objective? And it appears to me then that you are just rounding up people, but there is no semblance of looking to see if we will rehabilitate these people, if we will educate them, or look for any alternative in terms of offering any viable alternative from the life of crime and violence. And if it is then that was an intent, then where is the Ministry of Education in this? Where is the Ministry of Labor in this? Where is the Ministry of Human Development in all this? And it appears that none of those other ministries or departments were involved in the implementation. So if it is then that you want to offer an alternative life from crime, then you need those other departments or government departments to be fully integral and involved, in my view. Right? So those are some of the gaps that we identified. And at the time, there was not even the tribunal that was implemented as well. Now that is fully, that is now operational if and when they do have any SOE, if they were to implement that. So those gaps, we believe, are needed to be bridged in terms of implementation, and there are other areas which you have to give due notice and those kinds of things, which was not the case at the time.
Did your office look and examine the implications of a 13th Amendment put into law?
No.
You have not looked at it?
No.
All right. So you have no opinion right now on the 13th Amendment?
I believe that that's a political process, and we don't get involved in any political issues.
So you would say it's more driven by a political concern than a national security concern?
I don't want to dwell with the 13th Amendment in any way or form, because that is not within the parameters for the Ombudsman to do.
Okay, those individuals that sued the government and won from the 2020 SOE, was your office involved in the discussion at any time in regards to that case?
No.
Okay.
No.
And as far as you know, did any of those men who won that case came to you for grievance?
No, not at all. No.
All right. So,
not at all.
All right. So, so your advice then is that government examine carefully the implementation in the future.
Yes.
Examine carefully the implementation of any SOE.
Yes, and also to have a more comprehensive and inclusive kind of approach in implementation, rather than just having perhaps only the prison and the police department being the focus.
All right, our number here is 280-5848, 280-5848. If you have any questions that you would like to put to our Ombudsman and any clarity that you would want to have. Another aspect, Major Swazo, is this idea of the power of the Ombudsman. I said earlier that you don't have the wherewithal to go beyond advice. You are not a constitutionally independent and being able to, you can't punish.
No.
There's no teeth in your thing. Yours is still an advisory kind of area. And I say this because in some jurisdiction, I think including, I need to look at it again. I think there's one of our countries in this jurisdiction that does have prosecutorial powers.
But isn't that what the courts are there for, Nuri?
Yeah, but my understanding is that the court should be, but the Ombudsman in some jurisdiction, ours included, is not feared, and maybe that's not the best word, but a note coming from the Ombudsman does not shake up the system as it does in some other jurisdictions.
But remember the law makes provision that the Ombudsman in investigating have the power of a Supreme Court or a High Court judge.
A judge, right.
Right. So in investigation, so if it is then that in the course of investigation, I need for Nuri to appear and Nuri does not appear, I can summon Nuri to appear, and if it doesn't, then there is a due process to go through the courts to get you, to have you in contempt.
I understand that.
Right?
That's during your investigation.
Yes,
but what I'm saying is that if you are representing me and I was aggrieved, something gone wrong with my case, and I am due certain things as a result of what you have discovered, but they don't want to give me, do you then have the right to step in and say, I've already investigated this thing with Nuri, you owe on this and so and so, you have to pay him?
Yes.
Do you have that power?
Yes, remember that I can take a case direct to the Director of Public Prosecution.
Okay.
I can also take a case to the National Assembly for the National Assembly to be able to take any further action as well.
Okay.
And in and by itself, if it is that, let's say you are a CEO of a government ministry, it is expected that you will abide by the rule of law as well, and the principles of rule of law. So, in my view, those are sufficient powers which the Ombudsman has to be able to execute.
All right, I'm kind of regurgitating the same question I asked you the last time. When they are going with some teeth, but well, let me go on to another suggestion that you have made, and I think it's been implemented in certain other countries, and that is a National Human Rights Institute. Why do you recommend this? And give me an idea of, or give us an idea of why you think that would help to address the problem of human rights even more effectively than our present system. Because right now, we have ministries that claim to be responsible for human rights. We have a Human Rights Commission. Why do we need another body in order to ensure that human rights are protected?
Well, the National Human Rights Institute is an independent body which certainly monitors, report on a national and international in the international arena. While they do have different areas that is being done by government department, that is not independent of government. And certainly the National Human Rights is by design independent of any government control. Right?
So it doesn't exist yet.
No, it doesn't
exist. Does it exist any at all in the region?
Yes, there are other. The Suriname, I think, have there, and there are other countries who do have a Paris Principle compliant National Human Rights Institute.
What is the benefit of having such an institute, especially based on the fact that, as you said just now, there are other ways to address human rights issues?
But then the independence of those authorities, they're dependent on government per se.
Isn't the commission independent? Doesn't it have a teeth?
I don't think they are fully implementing or looking after all the human rights issues at this time.
But they were so robust. I could remember when Cynthia Pitts was there. I could remember when Mr. Arthurs was there. I think Mr. Bradley is there now. Weren't they more... They were making a little bit more noise in the past.
Whatever it is, the National Human Rights will be complementing and taking that charge to a different level.
The existing agencies now that address human rights in Belize is defunct and not doing anything? You need
I won't go that far.
All right,
in any way or form.
But you are starting over if you want to institute this new body.
Well, it is something which, from an international standpoint, will demonstrate that as a country we value the dignity and respect the dignity of others, among other things. So I think it's a great direction that we are heading, and it will also reinforce the point that people need to be respected and live with dignity. Whether you are differently able, whether you are elderly, whether you are a child, you have those rights, and those rights need to be respected.
But you know, we're getting oversight bodies after oversight bodies after oversight bodies, almost layers of oversight, and it's still the same thing to go on. The same misrepresentation, violations of human rights. You've just described a number of violations within our prison system here. I mean, where is the Human Rights Commission when it comes to that? Huh?
Well,
what is their role?
I don't want to give any credit or discredit in any way or form in regards to the Human Rights Commission or anyone for that matter. But simply to say that the National Human Rights Institute will be a robust kind of institute. We are on the path to integrating and establishing the Human Rights Institute, and that will be within the office of the Ombudsman, giving additional responsibility to the Ombudsman.
Is this a new group, or you are going to head that institute?
Well, we don't know.
I mean, in the other jurisdiction, is it out of your office?
It is out of the Ombudsman office in most cases, yes.
I see.
So as it is, what will happen is that there will be a legislative review of the Ombudsman Act, as is right now, with a view now to ensure that everything pertaining to human rights are integrated into the law, right? Which there are several gaps as it relates to human rights which are not covered within the Ombudsman Act as is now. So there will be several consultations with the general public with a view to have their input and interaction, and how it is going to be organized again will be subject to different consultation and the law when it is completed.
All right, so it just seems as though we're putting another layer. Anyway, that is not yet. How do we know if you made the recommendation in your report, but is that going to be done, or
it is going to be done.
It's going to go forward.
Yes, it is moving forward.
I see.
As a matter of fact, right now we have a project proposal which to get technical and financial support for the implementation.
Okay.
So we will be obtaining technical and financial support with a view to.
So these are additional staff in your office.
Yeah, it will be additional. Yeah, it will be additional resources and additional staff.
It's a good thing you move out of the office, man. Man, you couldn't have been all that. Tell us about your office in Belmopan. I haven't been there yet, but it's more spacious.
Very, very, very
more friendly. Because that one there over there wasn't friendly at all.
Yeah, well, certainly it's a lower flat.
Okay.
And we do have access for wheelchair as well.
Oh, great.
And certainly that 28 to 30 flight is completely eliminated.
Right,
so it is very friendly for the elderly, the differently able, and pregnant women in particular, which we did not have.
But I'm still noticing from your report that you are not getting a whole lot of people. You did say the pandemic might have had something to do with that. And also, it's interesting to note that here it looks as the majority of cases is home affairs.
Yes.
Because it's police, it's prison,
that's correct.
It's people who feel aggrieved. But it's all in Minister Musa's...
to a large extent, yes.
Yeah, in his domain. A few here with agriculture, and a lot of people, of course, are concerned about their pension. But it looks as though the Ombudsman... And it takes me back to when this thing was first brought to bear by Dickie Bradley. I remember he was Attorney General, and he really pushed for the establishment of the Ombudsman's office, and had his good friend Paul Rodriguez as the first Ombudsman.
Back in 1999.
Yes, and the primary idea of bringing it about was that there needed to be, between the courts and the police, there need to be a middle ground there that would be able to do some investigation of all these youths that were complaining about the police behavior, and before it got to the courts. And so the Ombudsman was very involved in that, and Mr. Rodriguez, and then of course after that you had Cynthia Pitts for a while, and then you had Mr.
Lionel Arzu,
and then now you are there.
Yes.
In closing off then, Major Swazo, tell us about some of the obstacles that you are still facing trying to, and by the way, congratulations, because this is a very professionally put together, it's a very nice looking report.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I would suggest that anybody pick it up. And it's not just look nice, but it really got some strong suggestions here. Congratulations on that. But in making your final points, before we close, are there any obstacles that you still feel that you're not getting, that you need some attention placed on it?
Well, I believe that there needs to be more awareness in relation to the roles and responsibilities of the Ombudsman, so that people who feel as if though they're not being treated justly by any government worker or department can utilize the services of the Ombudsman with a view to get better delivery of service from government. It is the responsibility of government to offer service to the general public, and it must be done in a professional and dignified manner to each and every individual. And where any individual feel as if though they have been abused by the authority, then the office of the Ombudsman is open for them to utilize, so that then we can get those issues regularized. Yeah. I also want to take this opportunity, if I may, Brother Nuri.
Yes.
Next week, Thursday, the 9th of October, is usually the second Thursday of every October is Ombuds Day. And we will
worldwide?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is that we will be celebrating the third Ombuds Day next week Thursday in Belmopan, starting at 9 to about, I think, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, where we'll also have different booths to demonstrate some of the roles, the responsibilities of the Ombudsman.
I was to ask you that too. I'm sorry to interject, but I don't want this to slip away, because I had asked you this some time back, is that don't you believe that having moved the office to Belmopan that you're going to have less persons, since a lot of the complaints would come out of Belize City? But hold the question. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, just like to say good morning. I just like to congratulate Mr. Swazo. You know, I'm a retired person from the media. I know him very well.
Okay.
Doing a damn good job, Major. Yeah. Damn good job. Keep it up. Keep it up. Damn good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. I second that too, bro. You're treating it like a military person, you know, the slick up a tile, yeah. And I got a text here from a fellow military person, the slick up a tile. So big support and respect. Your final words, sir.
Well, this is how I want to look at it, Brother Nuri, that being centrally located in Belmopan, we have also seen cases now, like from Cayo, and even more cases coming down from the south as well.
Okay.
And let me state here and now that we are looking for a sub-office to be in Belize City, because we understand the importance of maintaining an office in Belize City.
Very good.
So it wasn't that we want to just root up and leave Belize City in any way or form. But you know for a fact that where we were did not offer the kind of safety, the security for the office of the personnel who are employed in the office of the Ombudsman, but more so it was not even safe nor secure for anyone to come up through that aisle, which was very, very dark,
like
among other safety and security concerns.
Yes, sir.
So it was a necessary move for us to be out of that area. But we are seeing people from different areas which we had not seen before. So I think that is important. And the other issue is that all the principal officers who by and large are CEOs who you want to connect with are there in Belmopan. So the accessibility and connectivity, in my view, has been improved. And we do go to complainants, right? So they don't always have to come to us, because once we believe that there's a need, particularly elderly, the differently able people, we have traveled to them to ensure that we take the complaints from them. So it's we connect where we need to connect.
Before you go, just say it one more time, what happens next week Thursday, where and what time, etc.
So next week Thursday, the 9th of October is Ombuds Day. We will be celebrating it in Belmopan, starting at 0900 hours. We do have, we're expecting a special guest. The Ombudsman of Barbados will also be making a presentation.
So he's coming back?
Yes. So he will be making a presentation. And it is our hope then that we'll also have other other speakers on that day in relation to the kind of service that we are offering.
Very good. Thank you very much, Major Swazo. Very enlightening conversation, the way in which you handled these provocative questions. Most of them were highlighted in your annual report, so anybody who picks up the annual report will see that we were really going just along the lines of what the report in fact contains. Thank you very much for being here.
Again, I certainly want to offer my sincere gratitude to XTV and certainly to yourself, Brother Nuri, to be able to certainly start to highlight work that we are doing. And I also want to thank my staff for the support that they continue to give so that we are able to produce such an extensive report. So again, thanks very much to the general public, thanks to my staff, and thanks to XTV. All right.